camera operator has zoomed in there. We're reporting, Reuters news agency telling us that troops have been seen trying to enter to take control, corral some of those parliamentarians. And as you said, Michael, what normally happens in these sort of matters is that the parliamentarians attempt to stay in Parliament for
trying to lock themselves in,
to try and stay in control of the seat of power, as it were. We'll monitor this for a second, and Michael, you stay with it, because I just want to bring in John Nielsen-Wright, who's a senior lecturer in international relations at the University of Cambridge. John Nielsen-Wright, thanks so much for making the time to speak to us today. First of all, your initial reaction to this news coming out of South Korea, the declaration of martial law by President Yoon.
Well, shock. This is unprecedented. I'm actually speaking to you from Seoul at the moment, where I've been for an academic conference, and I can tell you, this is truly extraordinary, what we're seeing at the moment. The fact that the president has come out with this late-night announcement, and as you're seeing on your screen, public opinion is responding by showing up at the National Assembly. We should remember that the last time anything comparable to this was back in 1979, 1980, when then General Chun Do-han announced martial law. This is a country which is very proud of its vibrant democratic traditions. And the opposition has been calling for members of the Korean public to show up at the National Assembly to protect the institutions. It's really very hard to know what's going to happen next. When the news first was announced, I went out to the street here in the center of Seoul, not too far from where the president's office used to be located, the so-called Blue House. An hour ago, it seemed as if the streets were very calm. I spoke to a number of policemen who themselves were saying they didn't know what was going on. They were trying to talk to their own superiors. So there's a great deal of confusion. But if President Yoon thought that this was somehow going to deal with his political problems, he's massively miscalculated. But the question that we're all asking now is whether the military and the institutions of the state are behind him in this, or whether there will be a reaction to try and safeguard democratic institutions.
And John, look, you're in Seoul, as you say. You went out onto the streets following that announcement. We are looking at pictures of the Parliament Hall at the moment, reporting that troops have tried to enter that. Are you any clearer being there as to exactly what's happening? What is South Korean media reporting at the moment? We know that South Korean media is under the control of these martial law commands, and I guess right now it's heavily controlled by those in power.
Yes, I mean, it's very frustrating, and I'm sure you and your colleagues can, in monitoring what's online, will have seen that there's really nothing that clarifies what's going on. Speaking to journalists and people who are themselves following the situation, I get a sense that there is anticipation that the president's office will be seeking to clamp down on any media discussion. But it remains to be seen, really, what will happen in terms of people's ability to speak out. It was only a few years ago, of course, that there were mass demonstrations, the so-called candlelight demonstrations against then-President Park Geun-hye. The public in South Korea takes its liberties and its freedoms very, very seriously indeed. So I would be surprised if this was something that the government would be able to control. But we will be obviously watching to see what happens over the next few hours. But I think this is going to be, as it clearly is already, a very dangerous situation.